Okay, perfect. So again, welcome to the AcreValue 101 session today. We are very excited to have you. I will turn over the presentation to our host for today, Don Lepard. Don, feel free to take it away.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Good morning, everyone. Today, our webinar is called AcreValue 101. What can I accomplish with AcreValue? So happy to have you guys here. I'm your host, Don Lepard, Customer Success Manager here at AcreValue. Today, we'll be covering how many folks are using AcreValue for their personal research and for their professional business use as well. We'll get started just by talking about what is AcreValue, as well as the data sets and information that you can find here. Then we'll spend most of the conversation talking about how other folks are using AcreValue for specific research or goals. And then at the end, we'll give you instructions on how to get started. Stick around until the end because we'll have a free trial coupon for you for attending the webinar. Okay, so with AcreValue, it's good to start off with, what is AcreValue? Because many folks here are from different backgrounds, and many of you signed up at different points in the last few years. So I'd like to start off with what is AcreValue, so we're on the same page. So what is AcreValue? Well, AcreValue is the gold standard in land research software. And the way that AcreValue works is that it pulls together many different data sets so that you can research land, contact landowners, and determine land prices as fast as possible. Currently, we have over 1 million users. That includes folks like you, which we're really happy that you're part of the AcreValue community. Generally, we have about 500,000 visitors on the website each month, and a good portion of whom are not just using AcreValue for curiosity, but they actually use AcreValue on the day-to-day for their business. And we can cover some of those use cases later as well. We cover over 3,000 counties in the lower 48 states. So if you have any specific questions, like where you're located or where you're interested in, we do have a Q&A session later in the webinar to talk about it. Now, just as I mentioned, the AcreValue helps speed up research by pulling together many different data sets. Let's talk about those data sets and then what data is actually on AcreValue. So if I, had to break down AcreValue, I would say the 4 main pillars are like this. So first, we're starting off with the landowner profile. So we have you can see landowner's name, their contact information includes phone numbers and email addresses. And so I'll show you in the demonstration portion what that actually looks like. It's a very cool portion of AcreValue. Next, you can see comparable sales, which are recent transactions of sold land. So that's right here in the top left. In real estate, appraisers like appraisers and realtors use like-kind properties to determine land values for their clients. So being able to see recent transactions will give a solid estimate of current land values, which is very important. AcreValue's comparable sales feed in weekly from county records. And a unique part of AcreValue's comparables sales is that you're also able to see whether there's a mortgage on the transaction or whether it's a cash purchase, which is good information to know when you're talking to a landowner. Third is the land characteristics. So you'll be able to see crop history, flood hazard, soil maps, and then our brand new elevation and topography maps that was just added recently. So basically it just tells you the lay of the land. And then last, the bottom left, right here is the energy infrastructure. So you'll be able to see things like transmission lines, substations, wind turbines, solar farms, and more, as well as the ownership information, the status, and then other relevant information for each. I've also seen this become much more of a relevant conversation recently as folks are becoming more aware of the opportunities for highest and best use of their land. One thing to note is the government now has shut down all access to substation data sets. So AcreValue is one of the last sources that you can find this information. So we just covered the 4 pillars of data on AcreValue. Now let's talk about putting that information into action. So, okay, how do folks use AcreValue? So, for a consumer audience who might be using AcreValue for their own properties or for curiosity, we found that most folks are doing some of the following. First, folks who are interested in purchasing new land. AcreValue helps by presenting you with a map of parcels and landowners, as well as active for sale properties. You could use AcreValue to research land prices or find local real estate expert or financing solutions. For folks who want to find new land for rent, the process is pretty similar. You can search through the map of parcels and landowners, search by local or out-of-state landowners, and then use AcreValue to research land prices and get in touch with that landowner to start a conversation and propose a rental. Next, we see current landowners visiting AcreValue frequently to manage their own properties. Primarily, this involves staying up to date with local land values and how how that might impact their decision to sell or to hold the land. Landowners also visit AcreValue to connect with other landowners and potential renters, as well as finding and printing property maps for their properties. Next, on the topic of staying in touch with local land values, AcreValue puts out periodic reports on what's happening in the region and state level land markets. So check those out on the website when you get a chance. Finally, for folks who are looking to potentially sell property, AcreValue is a great way to quickly estimate the land values and then prepare all the research needed to list your property. And if you're in the market to buy or sell, we have a nationwide network of realtors or real estate agents and local experts. So just reach out and we'd be happy to connect you with one of them. So we just covered the main ways that our consumer audience is using AcreValue. Now let's talk about our professional users. We're grateful that AcreValue is the main avenue for folks in the industry to quickly find data and finish their research. And because of that, we've been able to have conversations with folks with many different professional industries around land, including realtors, financiers, investment, and energy, and more. These folks have one common thread, and that is AcreValue is providing them with, and that is consistent and reliable access to better data and tools needed to shorten their research cycles and put reports in front of their clients and customers. Given these cases that I've covered, now let's jump into the software itself, and we'll get started by taking a look at the data that's there, and then we'll dive right into use cases and things like that. So we're going to go to the demonstration portion. Can everyone see my screen? Jeff, we're good.
Good to go.
Yep. Okay. Okay, so when you first get onto, when you type in acrevalue.com, this is the page that you'll see. So I always think the first place that most people go to is the parcel map. So you can, the parcel map is everyone's parcel of land, not just sold data comps. Everyone who owns land is going to be on the parcel map. And so you can access the parcel map from here at the very top, here, this tile at the bottom, or by putting an address in. So I'll just click this parcel here, and so it'll put you on the national level, and then you can zoom into an area, or you can up here at the top put in the state, the county, and then click zoom to results. This will be this button will appear when you put in these two pieces here. It will zoom you right to the area that you're interested in. I'm going to start with a parcel that I've already picked out. I like this parcel because it has a little bit of a creek in the back. And so it has a little bit of a flood risk. So when you're hovering over these parcels, you'll see a card pop up. It'll tell you the name of the owner, the acreage, and the production index score, PI, in Illinois. So when you click on a parcel, that card will expand. And so then you'll get more information like acreage, the production index scores, the parcel ID number, which I know is tricky to find, and then the name of the owner and their address with the county. And then you'll see last year's crop history, the slope, if there's any flood risk, easements, things like that. I generally don't spend a lot of time on this card because it's very quick to generate a report. And when we said we speed up research times for realtors and appraisers, you'll be amazed by how fast this is. But before I move on to generating a report, this is easily missed, and it's one of the most important parts, especially if you are a realtor or you're just looking to connect with people and build a database. You need to know how to get in contact with them. So this is our parcel here. I clicked on the parcel, the card expanded. Now I'm going to click Get Full Report. That was at the bottom of that card. So I always tell people, don't dwell too much on that card because you're going to see here in a second, it only takes, 5 seconds to generate a report. So we're already here at the report section. It's pulled together all these data sets. So I'm going to go through each one of these individual reports that stack into a master report that you'll create. So the first is just the information regarding the property. So we have the production index scores, the acreages, the long lat, the slope, crops, land use, zoning. So all the information you need to know, especially if you're a realtor doing a presentation, this gets you this information in your hands within seconds. Next are comps. The system has some preset filters to bring up comps. I'll show you how to pull your own comps if you want to be more detailed, especially if you're a realtor or an appraiser, you're going to want to pull your own comps. But if you just wanted something quick and fast, letting it pick the comps for you is pretty fast. And there's some advanced filters here where you can tailor that. You could say, oh, I want the sale date's more important or the distance is more important, and then it will select more comps for you, or new comps for you rather. Moving on from the sale comps, we have elevation maps, vegetation index here, lots of vegetation information here. Soil, so this actually tells you what types of soils there are. If farmers know this like the back of their hand. So having this information at your fingertips is very important if you're dealing with a farmer, or if you're just looking to buy land for specific crops. Flood hazard. So the reason I like this one is you can see here on the blue on the right-hand side is there is a flood risk there, and then the rest of the field is minimal flood risk. So it makes it real easy to understand. 5-year crop history. And they'll say, corn, soy, so that's pretty common. Those two crops are rotated. And then, looks like there's structures, so that will fall into other, or it'll say developed land. And there's some miscellaneous ownership data. When I generate a report, that will fill in with a lot of miscellaneous data. And this is proximity to energy infrastructure. So I think this is important to see because especially if you want to know whether your land has potential for solar or wind, it's good to see this. So, first instinct is this is pretty far away from a transmission line, so maybe it wouldn't be. But there's all these wind turbines here, so maybe it really is. So, being able to click on there and see who owns the wind turbines and get in contact with them is really beneficial for you. And if there's any conservation easements on file, they would be here. So I went through all of this. I'm going to now show you how to download a report. Up here at the top right-hand corner, you'll see download. Click that. Now, each one of those tabs is an individual report, so you can select which you are interested in having in your master report. So some of these might not be useful to you, so you just uncheck them. But just for the purposes of showing how fast this is, I'm going to say continue. The fastest way to get it in your hands is to click this download button. And it will download here. It's already done. Let's see here. And it's right here in my download folder. And so I'm going to zoom this in a little bit so you can see. So this is the report. First thing I want to point out is that if you are a professional user, so you are premium or enterprise subscription, you can remove these logos and put your own logo there. So if you're looking to brand this as your own work and be able to provide it to clients, you are able to do that. So that's the first thing. This is the page that we looked at originally. So all the information about the property, the acreage, the slope, the crops, the production index scores, the comps that were selected has a real easy to see map where all the comps are located. Next is the elevation, vegetation, soil survey, floods, and then the crop history. And this is when I said that there'll be more information on the ownership. Here is a lot of information. So, I mean, we'll have precipitation rates and distance to different ethanol and power plants and things like that. So there's a lot of data here. And the next report is the proximity to energy infrastructure. So that's the report. If you have any questions about that, again, we'll be doing a Q&A at the end. You know, save all questions for the end. But I'm going to move on to the next section here. So we're going to go back to the parcel map. And so we created a report. We're still at the parcel map view. So you always know that you're at parcels by seeing up here. So this is really important to know where you're at in AcreValue. So we are at the parcel map. And so what I'm going to do now is show you filters. So I'm going to put in a state. So I'm going to say Illinois. I'm going to put in a county. I'm going to click view all results. So it's going to zoom over to that. So now that you have this information here pulled up, the map pulled up, you're going to see there's more here at the top. More. And so when you click on more, a whole new screen pops up and it has all of these things that you can search. Now, mind you, we are in the parcel view, so this is everyone's parcel. So if you're looking for people to contact or you want to know more about the type of land that's in your area, this is where you would start. So you can say estimated values. For energy, this is really helpful because you can look at all parcels that are along a transmission line. You could say, you know, all properties that are along a transmission line, you know, within 1 mile. And then that will pull up all of the parcels there. And then if you had like a solar opportunity or you wanted to talk to someone about solar or wind, this would probably be a good place to start. One thing that's nice too is you can zoom in on properties all the way down to a township level and then even down to a section square. So if you're somebody who's methodically going through and you want to connect with every single landowner in the area, you want them to know your name, you're going to want to do that on a township and by a section square method. So you go through each section, you know, and create a list and contact people. This is very helpful for that. So if you are doing some type of large campaign, call campaign, don't overlook this feature. Second thing I would say don't overlook is, and I mentioned this on the slide deck earlier, is the state and out of state. You don't always want to have these selected, but that out-of-state people are generally people that you want to prioritize because they could have inherited this land, they could be retired, they could want to do something with it and not know what to do, and they're just waiting for someone to call them. So land tends to be out of sight, out of mind. So this is really helpful in creating priorities of people that you need to call. So if I have to say in this whole screen, if there's one thing that you need to remember is this section right here. Next is acreage. So we can just put in something basic like 50 to 100 acres. That's pretty simple. So soils. So depending on what state you're in, I'm in Illinois, so we have a PI. You might have heard the term NCCPI, CPI, CSR2. It's different per state. So I think most states run off of the NCCPI. I think that's right, Jeff. But this is soil quality essentially. So the better the soil, generally the better the yields. So farmers, if you're working with a farmer, I mean, farmers are literal scientists. They know this stuff like the back of their hand. And so they know what they're looking for in regards to soil quality and productivity indexes. Next is the land use. I think this is the coolest feature. as far as being able to determine like kindness. So we talked about this in the, when we were talking about comps, that realtors and appraisers are zoned in on understanding like kindness. So I have a subject property. I know that in this case, it's a farm. I know that it is a corn and soy farm. I know that 80% of it's tillable. I know that it has a certain production index score. And so by putting in all these things, like in this case, we'll say crops, corn, and then at least 70% is tillable, then we can apply filters, and then it's going to bring up the properties that fit that criteria. Sometimes it doesn't zoom in, so I always like this. Oh, there it is. So this shows all of the properties that fit that criteria, and you can zoom into them. I'm going to show you the list view in detail on the comp section, which is next. But I do love this list view, especially if you're someone who's used to working out of Excel spreadsheet. It's like really set up like that. So you can go through here and organize your searches and determine how you'd like to contact people. Uh, so that's the list view, which I'll show you, go in greater detail on that here in a moment. So we've covered how to do filters. So one thing I kind of skipped over real fast is there's an apply. I always like to point this out because depending on your screen size, you have to really scroll to get to it. So sometimes some people will be here and be like, where do I go? You have to scroll to this apply filters. So it's we put it at the top because it sometimes gets lost at the bottom, but just remember apply filters. Once you do that, you can't just hit less because it won't apply anything. So I've shown you all of the filter options for the parcels. So next I want to show you the sold section. So again, we're always looking up here to see where we're at within AcreValue. Now we're going to go into the sold land. So sold land is the comp database. First thing you'll see is some numbers pop up, and the numbers will be shaded, and they'll be like purple and then this teal color. So the purple are ones we got directly from the county. The green are ones that are verified. So verified sales, any land professional can participate in verified sales. We consider a land professional, a realtor, appraiser, or if you're like a farm credit bank that lends for land customers, they will verify this data to ensure that it's accurate. This is widely used. I mean, government agencies use this. I mean, there's people all over that, specifically look for these verified comps because we know that data can be, unfortunately, no county is 100% accurate, and there are mistakes that are made, and sometimes those mistakes are small mistakes, sometimes they're big mistakes, and they require weeks or months to get corrected. So having data that's reliable all the time is really sought after. So it's one of the reasons that people use AcreValue. So we have the comps here on a map. I think it's a little busy to look at comps on a map. I mean, my mom was a realtor. She used to have me research comps for homes and stuff like that. I think it's too hard to look at comps on a map unless you really need to be close to the area. So that's why I think the list view comes into play. So here, sorry, here. So we're at the list view. The list view will always go based on either what you have inside the view screen here, or if you put in some filters. So I have Illinois and Kankakee County. It's the same screen as the before. We select more. The only difference now is that we have new options. So we have, do we want people that had mortgage, or do we want people that purchase with cash? Do we want specific sale conditions like auctions, foreclosures, interfamily transfers? Market is just regular sales through the market, through a realtor or a for sale by owner. And then you can actually if you select mortgage, you can put a specific lender. Like if you are a banker and you want to know, loans are being generated in your area, but you don't know who they are, who the biggest lender is, you can go in here and type in specific lenders and determine who is the one lending the most in the area that you're interested in. Scrolling down here, we have uh, the same township filter here, then the section square, or you can drill down to even to a parcel level. So if you have a specific parcel and you want to go directly to that, you can put the parcel number here. Same as before, acreage, soils, land use, it's all the same. So I'm gonna remove some of these filters here. Let me just actually, I'll leave it for now. So let's just leave this for now, and that'll make the list a little bit smaller here. So now that we have all the filters in place that we had before, we can look at all of the options here. So don't overlook this. This is how you organize the list view to what you actually want to see. So if I want to make sure that I have mortgage data in here, you're going to want to make sure that all that's selected. So you can select and unselect as much information to make this as easy for you to read as possible. But just remember, if you don't uncheck or check things here, there's more information to the right. So you have to keep scrolling over, including favorites, the favorite section is huge. You should always make sure that you utilize this because it's real easy when you're looking at sometimes thousands of comps in a county to lose a specific comp. So if you think for a second that it's going to be useful, click that save, and then there's a section where I can show you where the save parcels are at. Once you're in here, it's really easy to kind of organize things. So let's say I want to organize based on acreage, I just click on acreage. Click it again if I want to go in the opposite direction. And so it just works just like filters on a Excel spreadsheet. The thing to know here or to watch out for is really look at this mortgage information. Even if you're not interested in lending at all, knowing that someone purchased the property with a 5-year loan at a low interest rate is good knowledge to have, because you know that at the end of that term, they're going to have to refinance. And you never know, what people are planning on doing at the end of that loan. They might decide to retire. They might decide to rent out the property because they no longer want to work it. They know that we know that interest rates are much higher now than they were 5 years ago. So we know that their interest rate is probably going to double or triple. And so it's good information to have. So because they might be looking for opportunities to generate more income to offset that. And then I think that's all the information here to really show. There's the zoom to section. So it'll zoom directly to the parcel if you're interested in seeing just that one. And then the verified is just the verified sales. So those tend to float to the top there. And that is the majority of that screen here. So that's the list view. You get back to the list by the map view by clicking map over here. And that's that. So now I want to talk about energy. So I'm gonna scroll out. I'm gonna go back to the parcel view actually for this. And then we have the energy here. So you'll see something that says toggle data. So actually, let me clear filter so it isn't so busy looking. Okay. And then I'm going to put in the state again. Sorry. Illinois. Kankakee. Okay. So the energy information pops up when you put in that. Now you can have an option over here. It's brand new. Literally, I think it's maybe a week old. And it's called toggle data. And so this shows all of the energy infrastructure stuff that you can select or deselect. So for example, there's parts in the South where there's tons of oil pipelines and oil and gas wells. If you're not interested in any of that, uncheck it. If you're not interested in where power plants are at, uncheck it. And you can minimize this and make it cleaner. The whole idea is that we know this is a lot of data. We want it to be as clean for your eyes as possible so that you can work faster without having to look at all this information that is irrelevant to you. And so you can, check all or clear all, but that's the data. There's tons and tons and tons of information here that you can go through. And I think that we'll probably end up having like another class to go over some of the finer details of AcreValue. But just know that this section's here, play around with it. It's really cool. Jeff, how are we doing? Do we have time for the Market Explorer?
Yeah, let's take a little bit longer for the Market Explorer.
Okay, so going to the Market Explorer, so there's lots of places that you can click on that, but the easiest thing is to just go to the main page. All of the sections are here, so this is sort of your landing page. You know, just I always just reset and go to this section. So here's the Market Explorer. When we introduced this, it took me a minute to kind of understand like what was the application for the Market Explorer. As I started using it and I saw all the reports that could be generated, I quickly realized that this report and this reporting capability is absolutely like necessary if you want to understand where to spend marketing dollars and where to direct your attention. So pay close attention to this. This heat map is showing where transactions are closing. So if you know that 50% of the land has changed hands in a particular county based on your local expertise, maybe you need to look at the county next door that doesn't have as many transactions, or maybe that is the hot area and you need to get in there. But the point is that if you don't know where all the sales are and you can't visualize it on a map, it's gonna be very hard for you to effectively direct your marketing dollars. And we know that cost right now is probably the highest it's ever been. So it's, we need to really think about where we're investing our dollars wisely. So you can break this down to a county level. So we're at the state level. You can even go to the national level, go to the county. You can put specific time frames. So if you wanted to go, this goes back to 2021. But if you only wanted just, the last years, so we'll just throw in something. And you could put in specific acreage. So if you know that a lot of land has been parceled into smaller little, built for residential, you can put in a specific acreage so that it doesn't like dilute your reports, because we know that sometimes suburbs become really expensive areas to live, and then they take a huge piece of land and parcel it into little quarter acres and sell them for 200,000. So that's you can tailor this to where you can exclude that type of thing. Next, we have the land use. So you can say like just row crops, so any type of row crop, or you can put in the specific crop. So if I know that I'm only interested in corn and soy fields, I could put in that information. Under categories, there's also things like specialty crops, forestry, grass pasture, non-crop land, things like that. And then here is where you can decide whether it is how much of the land is tillable. Again, this is if you really want to specifically go towards reports that are farmland, how much of the land is actually used for farming, this is where this comes into play. So this is really customizable to what you're needing to do. And then you can and say what type of acres, if you're only looking at specific acreage and higher, or a specific soil index. And then at the bottom you just hit refresh results, and then it will create a new report. So let's just do everything. Okay, so just reset, and then you have a lot of information. So this is how much the average price per acre was per quarter, how much it went up or down, the percentage, how much was purchased with cash or mortgage, which I think is really important, especially if you are approaching someone and you want to know if you want to lease their land. If they just purchased it and they used cash, that may change what your sales strategy. There's some different things here as far as the transactions per quarter, total transactions, and things like that. So you can see how many transactions actually occurred during this time, the total volume of sales, and then the total acreage sold. So this report up here, if you're a Premier or Enterprise user, you'll be able to download this into a report. So I'm going to do that right now because it's actually pretty cool looking. I just reset my computer here. One more second. There we go. It looks real clean. I mean, really, really clean. So this is something you can add. If you're a realtor, you can just add this to your listing presentation as an additional uh, piece of information. I mean, I think that this is really impactful. Um, and realtors, I believe, Jeff, we can now have the realtors can actually have put their logo in here as well, correct?
Yeah, I believe that's true.
Or is that like a coming soon? Oh, it is true. Okay. So yeah, the realtors and all professional users, so Premier and Enterprise can tailor these to your own needs. So that is everything on my list here. Jeff, did you want me to cover anything else, or should we open it up for questions?
Yeah, I think now's a good time. Let's flip over to questions and see if anyone in the audience has a specific use case. I'll send you a couple of the ones that I've received so far.
Okay.
So the first one I just sent you. The first one is I'd like to understand everything owned by a nearby landowner. Can I do that on AcreValue?
Yeah, absolutely. So the easiest way here, I'm just going to go directly to a parcel. Um, So, I mean, you can literally just pick any parcel of land. And once it shades this color, it's able to be clicked on. So let's say you lived here and this is your land and you want to know, well, who owns this? Who owns this? You know, you can, ooh, sorry, my mouse is a little crazy today. Who owns this? You can generate a report off of multiple parcels. So they keep stacking up here if you see on the side, and you can create a master report that has all of the soils and things like that in there, or just clear this out and just look at an individual report and just generate a report. And it's going to show everything you need to know: the soils, the crops, the elevation, whether it's flat or hilly terrain. So it's literally everything. So this is, I mean, if you're even remotely interested in purchasing or renting land, this is the first place you should go, is to generate a report and really look through all these tabs and make sure this is what you want. A realtor is obviously going to go through this with you. So we always suggest you, work with a realtor. But if you're somebody that just likes to do things on your own, this is the place to go. What else do we got? What do we have
We do
here?
also have a question about filter for water or river frontage. So I can briefly cover that one. So thank you for the
Yes.
question. That's on our roadmap in terms of new features to be added. I know recently we added a road frontage as well as a highway frontage filter. So that's actually something done if you open up the parcels tab and then go to list view. I believe that's one of your options in the dropdown to be able to see how much road frontage there is. Now, water and rivers, that would be the kind of the next frontier for that. And so we'd like to definitely add that as much as we can. I think for the folks who did ask about that, I'd be happy to reach out to you directly and make sure that we're going to be adding that correctly to the way that you'd like to see it.
Yeah.
I do also see that we have a question about carbon as well. So, Don, could you show the button for carbon and then on the parcel map? Yeah, on the card. Perfect.
Where is it?
There it is, right
Carbon
there. Yeah,
potential. There it is.
perfect.
And I did. We just talked to our carbon partner. I think that eventually we were going to have a webinar about this. So stay tuned for that. I've never actually clicked on this screen before, so you have to talk about this.
Yeah, that's fine. So our carbon partner, essentially, yeah, we have a tie-in to their system so that for parcels, if you're curious about understanding the carbon potential of a particular property, you can either get that single number estimate from our side, or you can click into their calculator and you can understand a little bit more. I do know that in terms of the ways to generate some of these predictions for how much you can benefit from a carbon program, I do remember that there's quite a lot to do with changing practices and that sort of thing. So I believe you will want to get pretty detailed with the different filters or different, characteristics of the parcels in order to get the best estimate for how much you could be making here. I would suggest, yeah, click a parcel, select that carbon learn more option. That'll take you to this page, and that'll be a great place to click around and try and explore a little bit.
Nice.
We
Yeah,
do
I
also
hope we
have,
have a webinar in the future too. Go
absolutely.
ahead.
We do also have a question about, yeah, what are the basics of setting up an account, fees to gain levels of access shown in the reports? Perfect. So, Don, if you want to show this off, the short answer to that is if you'd like to get started, you can create a free account. That being said, free accounts are fairly limited in not only the info, but also the reports that you can generate. So, I would certainly recommend picking up a subscription. In terms of the subscription levels, you have a couple of options here for consumers. Consumers are able to pick up a few different levels. So primarily it depends on the info that you're looking for. If you're just looking for property maps, let's say I'm curious about, some sort of a soil map, for example, for my property, you can start with the lowest level. As you get into things like I want to understand property ownership, maybe also search for properties, and also understand characteristics or details about said properties. The next step up, the plus plan would be the right fit for you. And the plus plan afterwards, if you'd like to go even further and get information on property values, so that's land values, look through comparable sales records, that sort of thing, the premium level is going to be the right fit for you. So for consumers, there are options for monthly payments and then annual subscriptions, and each of those has its own, price per month or price per year. I would recommend going to acrevalue.com/pro or acrevalue.com/pricing. And those pages will tell you a little bit more about the different subscriptions and it'll walk you through the information that you can get. Now, for enterprise users, this will be folks who are using us, for example, at a bank, maybe you're a realtor, and you need a little bit more access. Reach out to us. You can reach out to us at support@acrevalue.com via email, or you can reach either Don or myself directly. We'll have some contact info up for you at the end. And we'd be happy to work through, what are your needs? It's a little bit more custom that way so that we can put together the right package for the information that you're looking for. And if you do have multiple states that you need to look for information for, that's one way that we can get you a discount as well. So for our consumers, go ahead and visit acrevalue.com/pro. That'll get you set up with one of our consumer level subscriptions. And then for folks who are on the enterprise side, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll work with what your needs are.
Especially if you're a realtor or an appraiser, some of the brokerages and the AMCs, they have accounts with us already. So to get an individual access is not that much more. So definitely reach out to us to see support at acrevalue.com and I'll direct you to Jeff. And that's a good way to find out whether you already have some predetermined discounts. Okie doke. Is there any other
Yeah,
wetland filters? Go ahead.
yeah, no, that question just popped up, so we should definitely show that off. Wetlands filter. So absolutely, there's a couple ways to go track down your wetlands. Number one, so in the parcel map, if you are curious about a specific property, you can see the existence of wetlands by clicking into said property and understanding its land use history, right? So wetlands would be classified under that land use history, number one. So if you have a property with wetlands on it, as it shows things like cropland, or maybe it would show things. Yeah, exactly. So if you get a full report here, you'll be able to see uh, what type of land use was on that property recently, whether that's tillable property like this where there's soybeans, whether that might be your let's see, maybe there's forest, for example, maybe it's mostly developed, but if you do see wetlands there, that'll be covered in that wetland section under crop history, which you can navigate to on the left-hand side of the report as well as, yeah, where Don was pointing out. There's a little bit more detail here. One thing that we are also going to be doing is we're going to be layering in a map of all of the different protected areas and the wetlands that we can go and find, which you can access not just for each individual property, but you can also access it kind of on a larger scale, right? A larger view where you can see it across a region potentially or even a state. And so that's something that we should probably highlight here, Don, if you want to go back to the map. We can open up the toggle data menu on the left-hand side. And then there's also your protected lands at the very bottom, which you can toggle on and off. Yeah, so those would be like fee lands, protected lands, and then we'll also be adding wetlands there in the near future as well.
Nice. This is actually brand new. So
Yep.
yeah, so this is an example right here. This must be like less than a week old, right? This is gonna be really new.
Yeah, I think this came out last week, in fact, this
Yeah,
first version of this. So we're continuously trying to update the system, and this is a great example of that. I would say if you find that you're working through AcreValue and there's some information that you find would be really helpful for you, please do reach out to us at support@acrevalue.com, and we will do our best to not only connect with you, but also understand how can we load this information into the system in the way that really does benefit you.
nice. Any other questions? Coastal Carolina, the map show USSGA wetlands. Hmm.
I
I'm
believe
not
that
sure.
would be, yeah, I believe that would be in the next update or release. I mean, we could certainly check, but I'm expecting that to not be here on the map yet. Keyword being yet.
Yeah. Our data scientist that usually is on these, she's off today, but she, we're working really hard to get all of the wetland data on the site as quickly as possible. So if I didn't even realize this was on there. It was put on last week. So I mean, they're moving as fast as possible to get on there. So it might be in the next couple weeks. Any other questions? Well, it looks like that's all for questions. Should we save 10 minutes and let everyone go?
Yeah, let's do some final last thoughts here. I think for the folks again who are curious about picking up a subscription, we will be reaching out to you for first-time users with a code that should get you a small discount off of the subscription as well as a thank you for attending and registering. So keep an eye out on your email, and we'd be happy to kind of help you get in the door and start exploring AcreValue. For the folks who are on the enterprise side, again, please do feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to learn more about your use cases and happy to put together a package that would fit your needs and your budget as well. So excited to have you here. We will be following up with a recording of this as well via email, so keep an eye out on that. And otherwise, we'll stay here for a couple extra minutes if you do happen to have a few other questions. In the meantime, thank you again for joining us today. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kelly. Thanks, Mark. Have a great day.
Alrighty, folks. Let's go ahead and close this down. Again, thank you for joining. If you do have questions, please do feel free to reach out at support@acrevalue.com, and we'd be happy to take care of you. In the meantime, have a great rest of your day, and thank you for joining us. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye bye.